This is outrageous. Where are the buff men who come in to take the outcasts away? Where are they? This kind of behavior is never tolerated in previous seasons. You dress like that, they put you on the block right away. No house meeting, no nothing. Pageant queens, we have a special block for queens. You are strong, independent, right on the block. You are smiling too big, right on the block, right away. Talking too much, block. Not much, block. You are leaning against the pool table a type of way too many times, you are right on the block. You undereat slop, believe it or not, block. You overeat lays, also block. Undereat, overeat. You don't accept the invitation to an alliance you were never invited to in the first place, believe it or not, block right away. We have the best all-girls alliances in the world because of the block. Who died and made them HOH? Dictators and block stars. Internet. My name is Peridiam and welcome to the greatest coups in Big Brother history. Because absolute power corrupts absolutely, and the current house structure was so last week's HOH reign. Get with the times, sheeple. In lieu of recent events, let's take a look at what I believe are the greatest coups we have ever seen.
You have been selected by America to receive the special mystery power. The power of... what? Coup d'etat?
Coup d'etat.
Okay, let me start over.
Oh, right. For all the Jeffs out there, a coup is an overthrow of power. When the people at the bottom somehow manage to topple the kings and queens of the house, resting in their ivory towers. Arguably, this could happen anytime a player at the bottom wins HOH, but for this video, I wanted to focus on the moments with the most significant impact. Which is why number 5 is a coup going all the way back to the very beginning of time, to the beginning of the game. The very first week in Big Brother history. Week 1 of Big Brother 2. And yes, I have to acknowledge, if you have watched my previous 2 videos before this one chronologically, this means I have now talked about this very week 3 times in a row. But like between how crazy this week was to Dr. Will's less than stellar gameplay to now the overthrow of Mike Boogie and his terrible HOH reign, what can I say other than we're going for a hat trick? And never mind this was the first week of the game, can we talk about Boogie's hair spikes? Those alone should inspire a coup. His HOH reign is absolutely horrible. It is so bad that it sparks a revolution within the first 7 days of the season. Between Chilltown pissing off 75% of the house, including both nominees, to Will annoying everyone with his fast and his home video antics, to Shannon being unpleasant, to Boogie trying to win over Autumn's vote by... wait for it, sleeping with her. Yup, check the tapes. That was a story. Everything about this reign of power is best summed up by Boogie's face the moment the first mega alliance forms in the show and blindsides him. Like a spiky-haired Joffrey about to down his 5th glass of wine, I can't say I'm surprised he didn't see this coming.
How will it affect you if she stays?
If she stays, I'm in a lot of trouble. I will be a marked man for sure.
Cheryl, you are now evicted from the Big Brother house.
I get to eat.
My only goal is to get those 3 the hell out of here.
Me too.
Are you
We
kidding
thought
me?
we were running the game. We weren't running anything.
The 4th greatest coup is another takedown of a fairly overconfident man who believed that he was running the house and probably would have won the game if it weren't for those pesky meddling pawns. Or should I say MVPs. I'm talking about week 2 of Big Brother 15, where Nick Uhas was blindsided after half the house rounded themselves together and managed to flip like half of Nick's alliance against him en route to a sweet, sweet blindside. Well, not if you're Gina Marie, anyway. This was a coup that took several parts coming together to work, mostly Alyssa winning the MVP twist, which meant that Nick could become a 3rd nominee, despite Aaron being the HOH, followed up by Helen, Alyssa's closest ally, figuring out who she needed to win over to pull in the numbers. Helen works with Andy and Amanda to sway McCrae away from the moving company, which were basically like the cover band version of the brigade. And then you combine it with Nick being cocky with Alyssa to earn that 3rd nomination, as well as Jeremy being too much of a dictatorial douche to keep the numbers. Because when you look at the vote breakdown, the moving company had the numbers going into this week to keep Nick safe. But everything changed when Helen flipped the script and earned her first cockroach insult result of the season.
My mission is to make sure that Nick walks out the door and Alyssa stays for another week.
I'll tell you this, if Nick doesn't go home this week, we can't win this game with him in this house.
Getting rid of Nick is a super risky move, but at the same time, I feel secure with the people that I'm with. I feel secure in Alyssa, and I think that it is time to get a big competitor out of here, and I'm not afraid to make that move.
Nick, he's a great guy, but all he can offer you is 2 pairs. We can offer you the royal flush.
Me, McGray, Amanda. I can work on Howie.
By a vote of 7-4, Nick, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
I do definitely feel screwed, but I applaud your gameplay. As a Big Brother fan, you still being here, that is remarkable.
Congratulations, Helen. Yes. You are the new head of household.
The third greatest coup is one of my favorite moments in the history of Big Brother. It is week 3 of Big Brother 6, when Kayser won HOH against the odds despite being on the outs and earned his titleship of king. From the Jack Shack to the penthouse, Kayser was on the bottom alongside Janelle. They both lost their secret partners in weeks 1 and 2, and now Kayser was in a precarious position, which, needs to be said, is exactly where Kayser shines most. Kayser made a deal to keep Eric, Cappy, safe back in week 2, but Kayser really wanted to take out Cappy this week. So he initially put up James and Maggie to cripple Cappy's numbers, and for some reason everyone in the house was blindsided by those nominations. I don't fully understand, like, who else did they expect that Kayser was gonna put up? James actually originally went to Kayser and pitched for Janelle to be a nomination, which is a common tactic the Majority Alliance love to pull on the outsiders. If they go with the flow of the house, they'll be rewarded by not having their name dragged through the mud as harshly as before. Oh no, they'll still get evicted next week, but like, you know, it's the principle.
There's no one in this house except for Janelle who wants Janelle to be here. You put up Janelle, then your ass is safe for several weeks. The only way to save yourself is to make that jump.
But Kayser didn't come on this show to roll over and just die like that. Over the course of 48 hours, he rounded up James and Janelle, got them on the same page, and then pulled in Howie, Rachel, and Sarah, and formed the Sovereign 6 Alliance.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna steamroll through this house. The final 6 is gonna be you and Rachel, me and Janelle, and James and Sarah.
Sound good?
100%. That's it. That was the final plan.
If we get him off, who do you put up? And then who goes?
If I get him off, Eric goes.
They hatched a plan, and at the veto competition, Kayser and his newfound allies dealt the most badass blow we have ever seen to the prior ruling family.
You know the game just got really nasty.
I'm not naive. I know exactly what's going on. I told myself, if I get HOH, I'm gonna flip this thing upside down. That's what I did. You're not the target. You were the bait.
Kayser, you sealed my fate.
No. I sealed your partner's fate.
James won the veto, Kayser put Cappy on the block, breaking his deal going back on his word from week 2. The fuse was lit, and the walls were about to come crashing down. And the rest is history. The entire game was changed after this 1 week, and where Kayser walked into the HOH room with just Janelle on his side, he left that same room 1 week later with an army ready to fight and die for his name.
He is upset. He does look defeated, as does Maggie. They really thought they were flying high and that they were untouchable. I took that power away.
By a vote of 5-4, Eric, you have been evicted from the Big Brother house.
That takes us to the second greatest coup in the history of the show, and that is from week 3 of Big Brother 24. Yup. As of the publishing of this video, we just watched significant history in the making. And regardless of whether the leftover alliance reaches the final 7 intact or not, this video wouldn't exist without them inspiring me to even make it in the first place. Because the first 2.5 weeks of BB24 were turning into a steamroll of a big, overlapping alliance between the Girls Pose Pack and Old School. Like a Venn diagram of blech. This was going to be the house structure that was taking shape this season, and we would just have to be subjected and watch as day after day the same old song and dance was taking place. Mostly in regards to Taylor being just a major outcast, as well as many of the guys being on the outs and powerless to protect Pooch from himself. And just there was this all-around unpleasant state emanating throughout the cast. But when Pooch was blindsided in week 2 against several people's wishes, and then Daniel and Nicole unjustly unwind on Taylor in a public setting, several players began to realize who was running the show and who wasn't. And as all good coups begin with a bit of liquid courage, it took Alyssa getting tipsy and spilling the old school lines to Kyle to tip him off that he was in a bad spot. And for whatever reason, the producers decided not to include this in the episodes. Alyssa did not realize the avalanche of blindside butterbean she started as Kyle worked alongside Joseph and then Monty to put the pieces together. While they originally thought in their own way that they were kings, they were not. Pooch would not have been evicted if they had any say about it. Your own soldiers don't just get killed in front of you by the queens of the court, and you're just supposed to accept that. With Turner as the outcast turned HOH in week 3, the 4 guys brought in Michael and Brittany, also just very clearly on the bottom of the pecking order, and then finally Taylor, the necessary 6th vote and key to the throne room. To tell you that this wasn't one of my favorite nights in my 12 years of watching Big Brother live feeds would be a lie. It was an absolute blast to watch as they met at 1 in the morning after the entire opposite side of the house were asleep, not realizing their demise was being planned right above them. The women and Daniel thought they had control of the game. They thought that they knew what everyone else was doing. They thought they could get away with trashing Taylor all season. You wear that sparkly dress? On the block. But no, the jig is up, the coup is in, and the heads are rolling.
We need to start chipping at them. One of them's on the block, take them out.
Yeah. What they did is making sure that they have the numbers, or working to get to the numbers to be the majority.
I'm even starting to wonder if getting Taylor out this week is helping the girls' game more than it is helping us.
I guarantee I could get Michael. With Brittany, if we approach Taylor and say, listen, it's absolute garbage that the people who are playing decently, being respectful or kind, are getting the end of the stick.
Us 7 right now on the outside of what could be a potentially juggernaut of an alliance.
I think we have the opportunity to change the narrative, take control of this game, because we literally can.
I have been looking for people to trust with everything.
And I think that the house is kind of bullying you. That ends today. Just because you're strong is no grounds for us to test how strong you are.
I say it's time for the leftovers to take over.
By a vote of 7 to 4, Amira, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
The stars definitely had to align for my number 2 coup to happen, and I was thankful enough to be able to watch all of that unfold hour by hour. But that being said, the greatest coup in Big Brother history is one for the books. And it took 2 to 3 weeks to come to fruition, not just one. The number 1 coup, in my opinion, completely redefined this season, which was headed in a very different direction after the first week, and I am talking about weeks 1, 2, and 3 of Big Brother 17. 1 word, Vanessa. 2 words, sleeper cell. 3 words, weird Lannister showmance. Because that's what it took. Vanessa flying under the radar, acting as a sleeper cell, subtly getting the house to trend her way, picking key allies to connect with, scooping up the underdogs, and eventually winning over the hearts and minds of the showmance of the season in Clay and Shelley. Consider this. Vanessa was an outcast against a 9-person mega alliance that formed night 1 right off the bat, and it took her constantly moving to gain intel through all of those weeks to make this massive coup happen. The High Rollers alliance was over half of the house, and Vanessa managed to turn them against one another alongside working with Austin, bonding closely with Shelley, and eventually winning over Liz and Julia, the twin twist, when they revealed to her before anyone else they were the big twist of the season. I want you to look at this frame. 8 of the 9 High Rollers are in this room turning on each other, all because Vanessa just kept digging. She kept finding the underlying cause of any rumors in the house. She kept badgering for little bits of information and then connecting them together to form a larger mental map. Eventually she cracked the code, even worked with Audrey, who was the newfound pariah of the house, and seized the season. And it definitely helped that Shelley, her newfound ally after week 1, did end up winning the HOH for week 2, but those players were not originally her allies. That took a lot of work. This coup was quiet, it was subtle, and if you weren't privy to a lot of what she was doing, or just, I guess, guess watching the edited episodes. You might not even notice it was happening. Considering that the final 6 of this season, Julia, Liz, Austin, Johnny Mac, Vanessa, and Steve were all on the outs and not included in the high rollers throughout those first few weeks, I'm not sure what else there is to say, other than it's the greatest restructuring of royalty of any Big Brother castle to date.
I'm feeling pretty good right now. I mean, the last 48 hours have been crazy around here. The biggest target in the house right now seems to be Audrey. It started when Audrey pulled a bunch of people upstairs and tried to peg me as this mastermind of an all-girls alliance. It was really ridiculous.
He told me, Day was the one who told you that I'm in an all-girls alliance.
You told her that? I knew that it could blow up in my face should people connect the dots. And some dots were definitely connected.
It's true.
I'm freaking out.
My name is Julia. Another J, okay? Okay, good. Nice to meet you.
She's been switching already.
Bro, get in the game. It's gonna give us like a 90% chance to make top 6.
You kind of kicked back. We didn't really see you playing the game too much, and you watched your friends one by one get picked off. Why didn't you play more aggressively?
I couldn't have scripted it any better myself.
But that's the tricky thing about a lot of these seasons, and thank God for the live feeds. A lot of this just isn't very evident from the edited episodes, so I will just say this, don't just take my word for it. While I can't trace the original author, I'm going to be including a link in the description below of a massive write-up of just everything that Vanessa does in these weeks, with pictures included. If you're interested enough and you want to read all about it yourself, this link is over 10,000 words, and it's about what you'd expect from a chronicle of Vanessa's game. Either way, those are the top 5 greatest coups in Big Brother history. Let me know what you think about all these power flips, if there's any others that you think maybe deserve a mention that I did not talk about. A big thank you to my loyal patrons. The royal court looks quite dashing, if I do say so myself. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to treat the outcasts with a bit of respect on your way out. You never know who's going to be leading that coup against you in a few weeks. And I will see you in the next one, once I go feast on some leftovers.
Chicken. She thought the button that said chicken was to cook a whole chicken.
I think putting the chicken in the microwave is like the most sanitary thing to do. Plus, it doesn't have all the extra calories from the grease.
No!
Oh my God, you must be like silly.
Okay.